Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Saints reportedly have a new offensive coordinator. Klint Kubiak is the man. He will be named that after the Super Bowl where he's coaching the San Francisco 49ers. And this is a hire that I think makes a lot of sense. And it's not that Klint Kubiak has spent his entire career under Kyle Shanahan, so this is a guy that he spent some time with Kyle Shanahan, but he's been around for a young man. He's not even 40 years old, and you're talking about a guy who was a grad assistant at Texas A&M in 2010 and 2011. They moved into the SEC, and in that Heisman Trophy year for Johnny Manziel, Klint Kubiak was coaching their inside receivers for that 2012 team. Would have been like Ryan Swope and those gang. I don't think Mike Evans spent a lot of time in the slot. He was mostly out on the boundary, but Klint Kubiak was on that staff. He worked under Norv Turner for a year in Minnesota with the Vikings. Then his dad got the head job at the Broncos. He worked there in 2016. And then for a couple of years, the Vikings hired him in 2019, and he worked there for 2 years before he was promoted to the offensive coordinator for 2021. That was his one full year as an offensive coordinator. That year, the Vikings were 11th in the league in passing offense, 17th in the league in rushing yards. They were right in the middle, 15th in the league in touchdowns scored. The head coach there was Mike Zimmer. He got fired. The staff was not retained, so that was a short-lived stint as an offensive coordinator there in in Minnesota. Then he goes back to Denver. He's the passing game coordinator there, and then took over play calling duties after Thanksgiving because Nathaniel Hackett and company weren't exactly lighting it up in Denver. So he was there for calling the plays for half a season. And then he's been the passing game coordinator for San Francisco in 2023, and that's obviously the time that he spent with Kyle Shanahan. So a guy that's done a lot of things, a lot of different places around the league. One of the stats I thought that was interesting that Nick Underhill brought up in talking about, he's with New Orleans Football, the Saints and how much they ran motion last year. They ran some sort of motion on 366 of their snaps on offense. If you divide that number by 17, you're looking at a team that is motioning about 21 times per game. San Francisco, 753 motions. That is 44 times per game they're putting things in motion. The Saints offense was a little stagnant, a little boring, a little vanilla, and San Francisco was anything but that. And I think that's one of the things that you'll look at as far as changes coming to the Saints offense is they're going to do some motioning. Motioning does a lot. It allows the quarterback some of the answers to the test. You can see man or zone or what situation the defense is preparing for. When you put guys in motion, it creates separation. It creates eye candy. Like it shows you a lot of different things. And the Saints just didn't do a lot of motioning last year. San Francisco does it a ton. And you'll see, I think, a lot of that from new offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak. I'm not in a position here to tell you this is a grand slam, this is a disaster. Like, this just makes sense. That's where I'm coming from this. With Pete Carmichael, you're talking about a guy who's a little bit older, a guy who grew up in a different NFL than the one Klint Kubiak has kind of grown up in, and certainly doesn't have the experience of working for multiple different offensive minds. Like, Pete Carmichael is kind of a Sean Payton guy, and he's already right back there in Denver. He's going to be coaching with Sean Payton again. Klint Kubiak, as I mentioned, has worked for Norv Turner. He's worked for Kyle Shanahan. He worked for Kevin Sumlin, who was doing some revolutionary things in the college game at that time with a ridiculous quarterback. So there's a lot of different trees that you're picking off here. It's just not, Shanahan. But he's been there this year, and you would imagine some of that will translate over to New Orleans. So I think for me, the length of time this took, I think definitely has something to do with the fact that Kubiak is still coaching. I think that if he wasn't the guy and they were going to hire someone who wasn't in the playoffs, this would have gotten done a little bit more quickly. And I always say, like, the result is the thing that matters, not the process to get there. You've seen very efficient, well-run, behind-the-scenes, quick searches done that result in a bad hire. And you've seen clunky, disorganized, at times embarrassing situations that have resulted in quality hires. The result matters to me more than the process. We'll see how well Klint Kubiak handles running an offense. But he's called plays before. He's young. He's been in this Kyle Shanahan system. He's worked for some really good offensive minds. I think this hire makes a ton of sense on paper, and you hope that there's some real progress that is made with the Saints. That progress will come without the services of Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach, who was let go upon the announcement that Klint Kubiak was taking the job. Here's the deal with Doug Marrone. Like, they've got an offensive line with first-round picks and second-round picks and guys that are making big money that they've sunk a lot of resources into, both from the draft and financially, and their performance this year was unacceptable. Cesar Ruiz has regressed massively. Trevor Penning has not developed at all in 2 years. You're signing journeyman off the couch to go in there and play tackle. It's not all Doug Marrone's fault, but I was a little surprised when he was retained after that day when the Saints fired the majority of their offensive staff. Turns out we knew that there was a chance the new guy would say, hey, we're going to go a different direction. It appears the new guy is coming in and saying, hey, we're going in a different direction, as Doug Marrone no longer will be the offensive line coach with the New Orleans Saints. It's kind of a regime change on the offensive side of the ball. Just not a lot of Sean Payton blood still left in that building, and that, I think, is a good thing. This organization has been resistant to change at times. I think it's time for them to change. This is a shot in that direction with the hiring of Klint Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.